Nobody knew that the
Hello.
quiet mechanic in the
Yes, this is
small
Mike's
town
Garage.
was actually
What can
a
I do for
Delta
you
Force
today?
legend who had survived the nation's most dangerous missions. And today, the lives of 50 innocent people depended on him revealing his secret identity. Colonel Marcus Ghost Sullivan had been running Sullivan Auto Repair in the small Montana town of Millbrook for the past 10 years. At 52, with graying hair, calm eyes, and hands perpetually stained with oil, he was just another ordinary mechanic. At least, that's what the townspeople thought. That morning, like every other morning, he'd arrived early at his shop. He was sipping his coffee and looking under the hood of an old Ford pickup when the phone rang. The sound cut through the peaceful morning air like a blade. Sullivan Auto Repair, Marcus speaking. The voice on the other end began with a code that Marcus hadn't heard in 10 years. Red Eagle, Emergency Bravo 7. Marcus's hand didn't tremble. His voice didn't change. But every alarm inside him started going off. This code was only used in cases of national security threats. His mind instantly shifted from civilian mode to military alertness, years of training flooding back like muscle memory. "You've got the wrong number," he said calmly, his eyes automatically scanning the shop for potential threats. "Colonel Sullivan, this is General Harrison. I know who you are, and you know who I am. We have 50 hostages, and you're the only one who can save the situation." This is where everything changed. Marcus hung up the phone and walked to the back room of his shop. His movements were deliberate, controlled. When he opened the hidden compartment behind the old metal cabinet, equipment he hadn't touched in 10 years was revealed. Tactical vest, Kevlar protection, special communication devices, and an ID card with a Delta Force badge. Colonel Marcus Sullivan, Special Forces. The equipment smelled of old leather and gun oil. Everything was exactly as he had left it a decade ago. Clean, maintained, ready. He had known this day might come. Deep down, every retired soldier knows their past might catch up with them. 20 minutes later, ordinary mechanic Marcus had given way to Delta Force legend Colonel Sullivan. But you haven't seen the biggest surprise yet. The information he received from General Harrison was horrifying. A terrorist group calling themselves Freedom Fighters had taken over Riverside Dam, 60 kilometers from Millbrook. They had taken 50 civilian workers hostage and were threatening to blow up the dam. The facility supplied water and power to 3 counties, affecting over 200,000 people. But the real problem was the leader of this terrorist group, Viktor Kozlov, a former Spetsnaz operator. The man Marcus thought he had killed in Afghanistan 15 years ago during Operation Desert Thunder. No, Marcus's voice cracked for the first time. He was dead. I saw it with my own eyes. I put 3 bullets in his chest. "We thought so too," said General Harrison grimly. "But he survived, and he's been planning this for years. Marcus, he's been waiting for you. Among the hostages taken, there's someone from your family." Marcus's world spun. His coffee cup slipped from his fingers, shattering on the concrete floor. "Who?" "Your daughter, Sarah. She's working as a summer intern at the dam while finishing her engineering degree. Now what you're seeing is nothing." Marcus's hands clenched into fists. This was why he had left his military career 10 years ago, to protect his family. After losing his wife Linda to cancer, he had abandoned his secret identity to keep his only daughter Sarah safe from the enemies he had made during his Black Ops career. Now, His past had caught up with him in the worst possible way. "You'll work in coordination with local police," said General Harrison, "but you're in charge. This operation officially doesn't exist. We can't have military involvement on domestic soil, but we can have a concerned citizen helping local law enforcement." Marcus shifted into the tactical mindset he hadn't used in 10 years. Every instinct, every skill, every lesson learned in blood was awakening. Hostage count and positions? 50 total, 30 in the main facility, 20 in the control room area where your daughter is being held. Terrorist count approximately 12, all armed with military-grade weapons and explosives. What about the team I'll be working with? Local SWAT team with 2 FBI agents. They're good, but they've never faced anything like this. Under your leadership, they might have a chance. Marcus remained silent for a moment. In Delta Force operations, he was used to working with the world's most elite soldiers. But this was different. His daughter's life was at stake, and he would work with whoever was available. Wait a minute. Don't miss this details. When he arrived at the dam site, the scene was controlled chaos. News trucks lined the perimeter road. Local SWAT commander, Captain Rodriguez, was coordinating with FBI agents, and helicopters circled overhead. Marcus approached in his civilian pickup truck, but everything about his bearing had changed. Captain Rodriguez greeted him with a mixture of respect and curiosity. "Are you Colonel Sullivan? I read your classified file on the drive over. Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Somalia. You've had an incredible career. Most of your missions are still redacted." Marcus nodded curtly. "That's in the past, Captain. Now let's focus on saving 50 innocent people and ending this without casualties." Rodriguez was immediately impressed by Marcus's calm but determined demeanor. There was something about the way he moved, the way he assessed the tactical situation, that marked him as a true professional. "What's the plan, Colonel?" "First, reconnaissance. We need to learn Kozlov's exact position and hostage distribution. Then we plan a coordinated assault that neutralizes the threat while keeping civilian casualties at zero." As Marcus surveyed the dam site through high-powered binoculars, he remembered that fateful operation from 15 years ago. He had tracked Kozlov through the mountains of Afghanistan for 3 weeks. When they finally met in a cave complex, both men had fought like animals. Marcus thought he had killed him with precise shots to the chest, but clearly he had been wrong. You won't believe this, but the security cameras inside the dam were hacked by FBI cyber specialists, and the hostages' positions were determined. Sarah was being held near the control center with 12 other workers, the most dangerous zone. Kozlov had positioned himself strategically, using the most valuable hostages as human shields. "Colonel," FBI agent Chen approached with a grim expression, "Kozlov wants to make direct contact with you. He's been asking for you specifically since he learned you were involved." Marcus's jaw tightened. He had hoped his involvement could remain secret, but Kozlov clearly had intelligence sources. "Does he know I'm here?" "It appears so. He has a special message for you. Should we patch it through?" Marcus took a deep breath and nodded. Agent Chen handed him the communication headset. Kozlov's accented English rang in his ears again after 15 years. A voice from his nightmares. "Marcus Sullivan, Ghost. It's been a very long time, comrade. Viktor, I killed you once. I can do it again." "No, you just thought you killed me. The bullets missed my heart by millimeters. I spent 2 years in a Russian hospital thinking about this moment. And now I'm here, and your beautiful daughter is with me. Marcus's breath caught in his throat. If you hurt
Command,
Sarah,
this is Alpha Team.
I
We
will
are in
make you
position.
suffer in ways
Awaiting
you
your
can't
go.
imagine. She looks like you, Marcus. Brave eyes, defiant spirit. But sometimes courage isn't enough to stop a bullet. But the most shocking part was, what do you want, Victor? I want to finish the business we didn't finish 15 years ago. You and me, one-on-one, no backup, no tricks, just like the old days. In exchange for your daughter's life and the other hostage's freedom. Marcus listened silently. This was exactly Kozlov's style, mixing personal vendetta with tactical operations. The man had always been brilliant but unstable, driven by ego and revenge rather than pure professionalism. I accept your challenge, said Marcus after a long pause. But I have conditions. I'm listening, old friend. First, you release half the hostages as a show of good faith. Women and older workers first. Then you and me, on the upper observation deck of the dam, minimal weapons. Kozlov's laugh echoed through the radio transmission. Minimal weapons? We both know how deadly we are with just our hands. Fine, but you have exactly 30 minutes to get here. If you're 1 minute late, I start executing hostages, beginning with your precious daughter. You haven't seen the biggest surprise yet. Marcus gathered his impromptu team around a tactical map of the dam facility. We're changing the entire approach. While I engage Kozlov directly, you'll execute a coordinated rescue of the remaining hostages. Captain Rodriguez immediately objected. Colonel, this is suicide. You can't go in there alone against a trained Spetsnaz operative and his team. This is personal between Victor and me, Marcus explained patiently. He wants me, and he'll get me. But while I have his attention focused on our confrontation, you'll have the perfect opportunity to neutralize his backup and extract the hostages. FBI agent Chen was clearly worried. Sir, what if this is an elaborate trap? What if he has no intention of honoring any agreement? Marcus smiled, a cold, calculating expression that reminded everyone present why he had been one of Delta Force's most feared operators. Then Victor doesn't know me as well as he thinks he does. I've been planning for contingencies since the moment I heard his name. Here was the real plan. While Marcus engaged Kozlov in what appeared to be a personal duel, he would use concealed communication devices to coordinate the SWAT team's movements. Kozlov would be so focused on their confrontation that he wouldn't notice the systematic infiltration happening throughout the facility. 25 minutes later, Marcus walked through the main entrance of the dam facility. His hands were visible, but not raised. A calculated show of confidence rather than surrender. He was unarmed, as agreed, but Delta Force training had taught him that a skilled operator was never truly unarmed. The facility was eerily quiet, except for the constant hum of the massive generators. Marcus's trained ear automatically cataloged every sound, every echo, building a three-dimensional map of the environment in his mind. Kozlov was waiting on the upper observation deck, exactly as promised. 15 years hadn't been kind to him. His dark hair had turned completely white. Deep scars marked the left side of his face, and his movements showed the stiffness of old injuries. But his eyes still held the same dangerous intelligence that had made him such a formidable opponent. Marcus, finally face to face again. Victor, you look like hell. Prison food didn't agree with you? Hospital food, actually. Thanks to you. But I used the recovery time well. Planning, training, waiting for the perfect moment for revenge. Marcus studied his old enemy carefully. I see you've released some hostages. Are you actually planning to honor our agreement? 25 women, And older workers, as promised. Your daughter and the remaining technical staff are still secured, of course. Insurance policies. The two men began circling each other slowly, like wolves preparing to fight. Both were older now, both carrying the weight of years and old injuries, but both still deadly. But then, something unexpected happened. When the fight began, Marcus immediately realized that 10 years of civilian life had genuinely affected his physical conditioning. He was still strong, still skilled, but his reflexes were a fraction of a second slower than they had been in his prime. Kozlov, despite his injuries, had clearly maintained his training regimen. Marcus absorbed several hard blows to his ribs and jaw before adapting his strategy. He couldn't match Kozlov's raw aggression anymore, but he could still outthink him. "You've gotten soft, Marcus," Kozlov taunted as he landed a solid punch to Marcus's shoulder. "American suburban life made you weak." "Maybe," Marcus replied, using Kozlov's momentum against him to throw him off balance. "But you always were too eager to talk during a fight." As their battle continued across the observation deck, Marcus received constant updates through his nearly invisible earpiece. First floor secured. Second floor infiltration in progress. Hostage location confirmed. Marcus was fighting two battles simultaneously: the physical confrontation with Kozlov and the tactical coordination of the rescue operation. Every move he made served both purposes. When the final move came, after 10 minutes of intense combat, both men were bloodied and exhausted. Kozlov, frustrated by Marcus's resilience, broke their agreement and drew a ceramic knife that had been hidden in his boot. "Enough games, old friend. Time to finish this properly." But Marcus had been expecting exactly this betrayal. Kozlov always cheated when he was losing. It was his predictable weakness. "You're right, Victor. Time to finish this." At that precise moment, Captain Rodriguez's sniper shot came through the reinforced window. A perfect headshot that dropped Kozlov instantly. The knife clattered harmlessly across the metal deck. "All hostages secure." Rodriguez's voice crackled through the earpiece. "Sarah is safe and unharmed. All terrorists neutralized." Marcus stood over Kozlov's body for a moment, feeling a complex mixture of relief, exhaustion, and closure. 15 years of wondering if his enemy was still alive were finally over. But you haven't seen the real ending yet. 2 hours later, when Marcus returned to his repair shop, Sarah was waiting in the parking lot with Agent Chen. His daughter threw herself into his arms, sobbing with relief and delayed shock. "Dad, I can't believe you're really him. You're the ghost." Everyone at the dam was talking about the legendary Delta Force operative who saved us. Marcus held his daughter tightly, stroking her hair like he had when she was small. "No, Sarah, I'm just a mechanic who used to be a soldier. But mostly, I'm your father, and that's the only identity that really matters to me." "But Dad, why didn't you ever tell me? Why keep it secret for so long?" Marcus looked into his daughter's eyes so much like her mother's. "Because I wanted you to have a normal life, sweetheart. I wanted you to be proud of your father the mechanic, not afraid of your father the soldier." Sarah wiped her tears and managed a small smile. "I'm proud of both. But Dad, what happens now? Everyone knows who you are." Agent Chen approached them respectfully. "Colonel Sullivan, if I may, the Bureau would like to offer you a consulting position. Part-time, civilian contractor, your own terms. We could use someone with your expertise training our tactical teams." Marcus considered the offer for a moment, then looked back at Sarah. What do you think, kiddo? Should your old man come out of retirement? Only if you promise me one thing, Sarah said seriously. Anything. Promise me you'll never disappear again. No more secret identities. No more hidden pasts. Just be my dad, the hero mechanic. Marcus laughed. The first genuine laugh he'd had in years. Deal. But I'm keeping the shop. A man needs honest work to keep him grounded. 3 months later, Sullivan Auto Repair had a new sign. Sullivan and Daughter, Auto Repair and Security Consulting. Sarah had changed her major to Security Systems Engineering, inspired by the events at the dam. Marcus still spent his mornings fixing engines and his afternoons training federal agents. But the most important part of his day was always the evening, when he and Sarah would close the shop together and head home for dinner. Sometimes the greatest heroism isn't about the battles you fight. It's about the people you choose to protect and the life you build with them after the fighting is done. Marcus Ghost Sullivan had finally learned that being a father was the most important mission of all. The small town of Millbrook now knew they had a genuine American hero living among them. But Marcus was still the same man who would fix your car, offer you coffee, and listen to your problems. He had just added "save your life if necessary" to his list of services. And in the end, that's what real heroes do. They serve their community, protect their family, and face whatever challenges come their way with quiet courage and unshakable determination. Some legends are born in battle, but the greatest legends are made in the choice to keep protecting people long after the war is over. Years passed, and Marcus continued his dual life as mechanic and security consultant. The town of Millbrook grew accustomed to having their local hero, but Marcus never let the recognition go to his head. He remained